Hello, folks. Thank you for tuning in, bright and early for our student co-op panel today. We have a bunch of students here to share their experiences, applying for internships, working internships, and also, getting into the job field after graduation. So, first off, to start things, we're going to have everyone introduce themselves. And so I'll start off. So my name's Alan, as you may have heard me already. I'm going to my last and final year of software engineering at Lassonde. I've done a couple internships, one in manufacturing and one at a high tech company, and I'll talk about it later. For me, you can use he, him pronouns, as you can see on the screen. And I guess we'll go next, and we'll have Kushi introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Kushi. I'm into my third year of my computer engineering. I'm not done co-op, but I'm planning to do it in winter. Yeah.
Cool. Next, we have Albors.
Hello, everyone. My name is Albors. I'm going into my fourth year of software engineering here at Lassonde. You can go by my pronouns of he and him. And yeah, so in terms of co-ops, I've done one co-op last summer and doing another co-op this fall at Rogers, which I'm looking forward to for sure.
Awesome. Next up, we have Arushi.
Hi everyone, I'm Arushi. I'm in computer engineering and I've done two co-ops. I'm currently on my second co-op. It's 8 months and I'm about halfway through.
Awesome. Next, we have Kim.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kim. I am in currently my third year for electrical engineering, and I've completed two co-ops so far. That's essentially me.
Awesome. And last but not least, we have Hrutik.
Hey guys, can you all hear me? I think so.
Yep, we can hear you.
Anyway, uh, so I think I'm going into my third year of computer science, and I have done one co-op. I'm very excited to talk about it with you guys.
Awesome. Good stuff. So we're going to get into our first question, a non-co-op related question for everyone to answer. So our first question is, what is your favorite aspect of Lassonde? Who wants to take this first question?
And go first.
Wars. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah. You guys might have heard this one before, but for me, it's definitely the community. I think at Lassonde here, I mean, when I came in first year, I wasn't expecting everyone to kind of already like know each other and have such like a tight knit community. But doing Frosh, that kind of just like opened my eyes up to the fact that everyone here at Lassonde is just so amazing, and we're all just so willing to get to know each other. And I think that's the one thing I really love here about Lassonde for sure. That's my number one.
Awesome. So we'll have a few more people answer. We'll finish up this question, then we'll have Marilee join in. I see that we have other people in this call as well joining. So I'll just pull everyone up. Awesome. So our next, I'll answer this up. What my favorite aspect of Lassonde is, and I know I answered it yesterday on the research panel. But my favorite aspect is, coming from a newer school, which is a bit more innovative. There's a bit more room for innovation, and I think we see it a lot in our multidisciplinary efforts. In our first years and in our later years, a lot of our classes are combined with other disciplines as well. We have our C4 engineering capstone, which is shared with people outside of the faculty of engineering. And so there are a lot of aspects to Lassonde which you get to have because the school is willing to be a bit more innovative. And, I would say a big gain from that is, when you're able to work, you're able to work with a lot of people and, different backgrounds, which is, more reflective of, the workplace. I think a lot of you folks will see, especially those in the software field, you're going to be working with a lot of people without traditional software and computer science educations, either coming from not university at all or even coming from other engineering disciplines like mechanical engineering. So it's been a great benefit. So quickly, I want to pass things off to Marilee, who's from our co-op department, to share a few words and just to say hi before we continue on with the session.
Yes. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here. Again, my name is Marilee, and I'm the manager of the co-op program in business partnerships. Our co-op program is an excellent opportunity for all of you to take advantage of. It's optional, as you may know. So I'll just give you a little bit of like the, I guess, the steps that you would need in preparation to join co-op. So the great news is that it's available to international and domestic students. And it's an opportunity to work in your industry. You get to participate in this program after completing year one. So in the fall of year two, you apply to the program to begin your first co-op work term upon completion of your second year. And if I don't know, Alan, if you want to go into detail about this, but I can share the website, or I can walk you through the student registration process really quickly so that at least you know where to find information. It is, all the positions are paid, and Lassonde, Lassonde employers, or employers who hire Lassonde students, pay competitive salaries. The average is about 21 per hour. Keep in mind the minimum wage in Ontario is 14. We have employers paying, up to 35 per hour here in Canada. Of course, with employers in the States also paying way above the average of 40 to 50 US per hour. But on average, you can expect a salary of about 21 to 22 per hour. You gain valuable industry experience with top companies. So we have a good representation for all programs, starting with software and the computing programs. We also work closely with the automotive industry for electrical and mechanical students like General Motors, Magna, Veoneer, and so on. And space engineering, we also work with the Canadian Space Agency, and recently the European Space Agency as well. So we have excellent representation across all programs. There are questions here. So, okay, excellent. So I've been told I can share the screen. So, Alan, I'm gonna need just a bit of help. I'm not familiar with this platform. How do I?
No worries. So there's a share screen button beside the microphone and camera. You should be able to just press the share screen.
It's got a red.
Yeah, I think when you
across.
click on it, and then you can start.
Okay. So can you see the website?
Yeah, I'm bringing it up right now.
Okay, excellent. So this is our co-op Lassonde website. When you go to this website, you will see students, employers by the number. These are some statistics in terms of the average salary and employers that hire for the different programs. Co-op for Change is a specific program dedicated for students who want to work in the nonprofit international development sector. It's an award. So take a look at that. But I'll take you really quickly through the students. There is an eligibility and registration page that I think you're going to find very, very useful. These basically outlines the process to participate in the program. The academic eligibility is step number one. Then you attend a set of required sessions, and then you get to apply to the program. But before you go through that, you want to find out for your specific program, what are the academic eligibility requirements? For example, computer science and computer security has both options for co-op and internship. If you click on the plus sign, it will drop down and it will give you the differences between the two and the academic requirements for both of them. I'm not going to walk you through that right now, but it's there for you. The engineering co-op program also offers you the academic eligibility here. And again, generally speaking, for co-op, The GPA is kept at a very, a minimum of 5.0 or higher. You need to have a certain number of credits completed so that you are ready for your first co-op term upon completion of your second year. So take a look at this when you have a moment. Also, there is a very important section here on our website for you to self-assess your eligibility and assess your transfer credits, because I know a lot of you may have attended previous universities or colleges, and you may be wondering what is transferable to co-op. So there is a section here that walks you through that process. For engineering as well, you can assess, you can check mark the boxes that you've met the eligibility requirements before applying for EATS, computer science, and computer internship. All of that's there. I also, and I'll take questions in a minute, but I also want to take you to the FAQs part of our website. Really important if you're looking for information about joining the program. And we have general questions here. And if you click again on the plus sign, it will give you the answer. If you are an international student and you're wondering, when can I join co-op, and do I need a permit, and how many hours can I work a week? We can also answer those questions right here for you. And if you are a student registered with as a student with disabilities, we also have specific questions here. You're welcome to connect with us. You don't have to be part of the program to connect with us. Please feel free to attend the virtual drop-in hours now. In the fall, September, October, we're thinking about offering in-person, so this information will be updated here. But here are the instructions on how to join co-op, the drop-in, and here is the calendar. So you will see the hours that week, and you would click on that, and it walks you through the steps on how to join. I'm going to pause here because I may have given you a lot of information, and let me know if I can answer your questions.
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. So maybe you explained it perfectly, but folks will be able to ask questions later on, and we'll do our best to answer. But yeah, I don't see any questions right now, but we do have a lot of people listening.
Okay, excellent. So thank you. I'm going to leave the chat right now, and I'm sure you'll have a great session. And feel free, Alan, to connect with me. You can email me or via Teams if you like, or email me. I'll be on email basically this morning. So if you want to send me a set of questions, I'm happy to respond.
Amazing. So if anyone has questions, make sure to let me know, and we'll get back to you. Thank you so much for joining us for a few minutes, Marilee.
No problem. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Awesome. So that was just some messages from our co-op department here at Lassonde. If you have any questions, please let us know. We'll do our best to answer. And if we don't know, I'll make sure to reach out to Marilee to get you folks those answers. So next up, we have some more questions for everyone. And so the next question that I'd love to go through is just a very basic one. And for everyone to share, what co-ops have you done, or at least the ones you can remember? And yeah, share, when you did it, which company and what your position was. And, to start things off, and then we'll go in a clockwise direction with Kim next. I'll start. And so the first internship I did was through the co-op program, and it was in fall of 2019. So September 2019 to December 2019. And that was with a manufacturing company in Brampton, AFA Systems. It was definitely an interesting internship because I was able to learn a lot about a field I was less familiar with. And work in a more fast-paced, hands-on environment where you're getting to see what you're working on each day. And that was as a general engineering intern, and I did a few different jobs. I was there between some software jobs and some more computer jobs, and just general intern busy work. And then coming to this summer, I did an internship with a cryptocurrency exchange named Coinbase as a software engineer working on some backend systems. And that was a great internship where I was able to learn a lot, work with a lot of amazing, talented software engineers, and as well learn how to work in fast moving project management styles, specifically agile, to accomplish things quickly. So next up, I think we're going to go to Kim.
Oh, okay. So, for the number of co-ops that I've done, so I was able to, because I'm a transfer student, so majority of my co-ops were done outside of York University, but I'm currently going through the process of trying to get into the co-op program at York University. Just to give you a background of some of the experiences that I've had so far. The first one was in I believe 2019. Between the summer to the fall of 2019, I was able to work for a startup company called Atlas 365, and as a student developer. So it was a great way to learn more about programming. I think it was more so a learning experience, and that's also the part of being a part of a co-op system. I went through a lot of technical trainings. We did some blockchain there as well. Sorry. And to give you a background of the company is a startup company that focuses on converting plant-based materials to converting plants to real life plant-based materials so that we can be able to use it to build industrial equipment, such as, for example, building blocks, it's plant-based clothes, and more. So I was able to work on their websites and did some UX mockups and some API integrations and so on. For my second, well, I guess that would be this was my second co-op, but my first co-op I did earlier around 2018. And I was able to work for a STEM company. It was called STEM Learning Lab, all the way in Calgary. So I was able to be in a newer environment outside of Brampton. And I was an integration specialist, so I was able to work on some of their robotics, and it was a great experience as well there. And we were expected to go through some side projects. We were assigned some side projects, and I think something really interesting was that, especially within co-op system, you always have an advisor that comes in to check up on you and see how things are going. So I was able to get that exposure as well, and it was a great experience because I was able to go to different parts of the city and outside of work. And so yeah, those were my two experiences that I had.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing about your co-op experiences, Kim. Next, we're going to have Hurtik just quickly talk about his as well.
Hey guys, so my co-op experience was at Finestra. It was for QA automation development. Um, so it was basically as for a company that is a service company that also involves technology as another a part of it, right? Upgrading to new software, better technology, and my role was whenever they do that and they develop a new feature, I just create a robot that pretty much test that feature. Yeah, and it was definitely a really interesting experience. I found that the people were really nice, and it was a year long, so it honestly just flew by the whole year. You'd always find yourself getting busy with co-ops and stuff. One more thing one struggle that I found with co-op was just initially applying to a lot of jobs because I find that you have to apply to a lot of jobs. So yeah, that's one thing I'd say.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rutik. Next, we're going to have up Arushi.
Hi, so I've done two co-ops. I'm in computer engineering. Both times they were in Mississauga, but being in computer engineering, I really wanted both software and electrical experiences. So I made sure that both my internships were significantly different. For my first internship was at a small company called Radiation Solutions, and they pretty much build radiation detectors, and they have different features for them. So I worked a lot with C programming language to create these features, and then there was some busy work with databases to keep stuff updated for the clients, and as well as I have our own product inventory updated, a little bit of web stuff, try to keep their website go working smoothly as well as keeping the database maintained so the website was displaying things in like current time. Now I'm on an internship right now as well. I'm 4 months in. This is for it's more of an electrical job. So I'm working with Schneider Electric, also in Mississauga, and I'm working as an application engineer. So Schneider just has a lot of products, and it's my job to apply them essentially into work we do for our clients. So we'll do circuitry for different buildings. So one of the clients we actually have is York University, and we build circuitry for them. So we decide how the lecture halls are lit up and how the breaker system is set up to turn stuff off and on, and that kind of stuff. So that's my electrical experience. Yeah, so this is probably going to be my second and last co-op, and it's also 8 months.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And definitely not least, but our last for this question is Albor, just to share his experience.
Perfect. So during the summer of 2020, I worked at the University of Guelph on a sort of data science and machine learning research project. And this co-op was through the co-op program here at Lassonde. So to boil it down, essentially what I did was I examined the effectiveness of using Twitter data to sort of create an early detection system of possible COVID-19 outbreaks. So what we did was apply data collection algorithms written in Python mostly, and filter through millions of web scraped tweets, and then we singled out the relevant tweets that possibly give a notion that there might be a COVID-19 outbreak, like someone tweeting, "Oh, my friend just kind of got sick," and so those would be kind of the tweets that we get, and then we train a machine learning algorithm, a text classifier, and then we'd have it so it can read tweets in a sort of like a live format. And then anytime it sees a tweet that it detects as a possible COVID-19 outbreak, it would let a party know, and then you could kind of intervene it there. So sort of starting my co-op, I kind of knew very little about machine learning and data science. Pretty much the thing that allowed me to get the co-op was just my knowledge in Python, essentially. And yeah, I started off doing a couple of mini projects. I was working with a professor, so she would assign sort of a bunch of mini projects to me in the first couple of weeks just to get me familiar with the concepts of data science and machine learning, and that was really cool. By the end of it, and even now, I just kind of I love it now. Machine learning and data science is kind of like one of my new passions and something I'd love to get into after I graduate and even find more co-ops on. And so yeah, it was a really great experience overall.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So, our next question, and maybe you can also start this one off for us since you're already up here, is what was the most recent project that you worked on at your internship?
So I mean, yeah, since the last co-op I had was the summer 2021. I guess the most recent project was sort of that building that whole system, but I can say in specific, so I'm not repeating myself. Um, I can talk to you about one of the mini projects I did just to sort of get me familiar with data science. So to get familiar with how we web scrape tweets, I learned how to use a REST API. If y'all don't know what that is, it's sort of a way that you can tap into Twitter's API and sort of just scrape tweets in a super easy fashion. So that was really cool. And then with those tweets, what I did was I ran sentiment analysis. And since my co-op was sort of in like the midst of the quarantine, a sentiment analysis allows you to sort of look at the text that you've scraped and then get an idea for if the text is rather like positive or negative in terms of like an emotional standpoint. So you can kind of see what I did was I wanted to see if like the sentiment of the quarantine was rather positive, like were people tweeting positive things out of quarantine or negative things. And so you just use a couple of Python libraries, you organize the data, and yeah, I mean, by the end of it, it was relatively negative because I mean, people weren't very happy about quarantine, but that kind of got me started in the whole learning about the data science thing in Python, and that was one of the projects I did during my co-op.
Very cool. Awesome. So I'll answer next about the most recent thing I did. So while I was working at Coinbase, I was on the financial hub team, which powers a lot of the tools for Coinbase users and interacts with a wide variety of the services. So I was actually put onto a new team called the tax team within the financial hub, where we were working on creating the ability for people to get all the relevant tax information from their cryptocurrency trades. And so specifically what I was doing was developing the tax center service core myself, and developing different endpoints. So the last thing I worked on before I left, so literally like during the earlier part of this month when I finished by August 6th, was basically allowing a user to get all their transactions and see all the relevant tax information for that. And what made this interesting for me was I had to interact with a variety of other services to pull this data in. And although it might not seem too complex, when you think that some people might have thousands of trades, it's going to be really hard for a computer to request all the information at once. So a big part of this problem is how do we basically get users' data in different pages? And I'm sure you all experience, scrolling through Instagram or whatever it is, and you're getting different pages of data. So working with different services on the back to get that data and paginating through those, while also having the user's ability to paginate through transactions, was definitely one of the tougher tickets that I had to solve during the project, and it was definitely a good one. And I had a lot of learning experiences throughout my different projects there, but that was the last thing I did. Maybe we can have Arushi, you can share what you were working on most recently.
So I'm actually working on a project right now with my company. So we're creating single line diagrams to just show the circuitry of how we're wiring one of the buildings. It's pretty interesting. I've never worked on anything like this before. We weren't really exposed to it in school either. So it's actually like applying knowledge of how different things are used together. Like we have transformers, breakers, switches, all in this diagram, and you see how everything gets used together, and you're understanding how this is actually wired up to like the city's electrical grid and all of that work. Along with that, actually, Schneider also has their own application called a power operation. So I work in there, and we actually develop a whole software for the client side so they can see the single line diagram. They can actually turn off breakers with like there's little buttons on the touch screen that we've given them, and you can actually turn off and on breakers from there instead of going into the electrical work and turning off stuff. And it's pretty cool. So we've actually just started this project, and we've developed single line diagrams, and I'm working on the PSO side right now. And from there, we're just going to keep going, and we're actually going to go on site to check out how this is looking and if everything's functioning properly. And we're going to upload our software onto their UI and test it out.
Amazing. Next up, we'll have Hrutik share.
Hey guys, so the last thing I worked on, just to go with the example that someone else gave about the API that they were using. So my task at Finestra was actually to develop that an API similar to that, basically where they go so my bot basically goes to one of the internet website and start scraping their data. And then I had to use logic to be able to perform tests using that data. And so it was a big project because this was a new functionality that my team had developed. So I had to develop everything from scratch. So that was really interesting. It was a big project. It was really fun. I would say that was the best project I did, and but yeah, really glad I ended it off really well.
Amazing, and definitely um, sounds like a good learning experience. And next we have Kim, who's had a lot of work. So maybe you can tell us about either the most recent or the most interesting thing that you've worked on.
So I would say like I haven't really worked on the last just from my last co-op. I would say just thinking back on the last thing that I worked on was so at the company that I worked for as a student developer, I was able to like work with integrations of API, and so it was more so a learning process because again, it's something that is slightly out of like my field of study, but I was interested in the programming aspect of things. And so to be more specific, I was able to work or expand on we started an integration between the integration between Ethereum and the gaming industry. And so we wanted to integrate the API of CryptoKitties, sorry, which is a gaming environment, to that of Unity. And so it was interesting to be able to learn some of like a little bit on how neural networks worked and how to work with those API integrations. So it was more so of a learning experience using those apps like Postman and all that stuff. That I thought it was very interesting for me.
Awesome. Very cool. So now we're going to move to our next question. But why did you go into co-op, which might be a bit straightforward, but maybe then we can share, what are the benefits of doing co-op and what skills did people learn? So for me, I think I went into co-op because I knew I want to work in industry, and it's the easiest way to get a job in industry. So that's definitely why I went there. And the benefits I had, were definitely learning how to work with, I would say an end goal in mind of, some sort of product. And I'd say specifically the skills that I learned, were working well with a team in an agile manner. Definitely, I think you folks will experience this if you work in the software or the mechanical or anything. You'll work in different sprints, maybe 2-week sprints, to accomplish topics with weekly or even daily stand-up meetings, retrospectives, sprint planning, and more. And so even though it wasn't a direct software skill, that was one of the best things that I learned throughout my internship. Next up, we'll have Hrutik answered, why did he go? What are the benefits? And, if there's any skills he learned.
Hey, so why did I go? Well, the most important reason why I wanted to do a co-op was I wanted to experience what it's like to be like an employee. I feel like I'm basically saying what Alan did, but I completely agree with that point. Like looking at sprint planning, stand-up meetings, all this stuff, it was very different from my university experience and where I'm studying and all that stuff. So that's something that I wanted to experience. And so that's another skill that you learn. And another thing that you would learn is I feel like applying knowledge, everything that you've learned in university or everything that you learn in through like Khan Academy or through whatever coding places you learn or wherever you learn computer science or whatever skills you have, applying those to real world, to real applications. I found that very fun. Um, yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. No, that's great. Thank you so much. And next we'll bring in Al Bors to share, what benefits he found and skills he learned.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much bouncing off the two people before me. I mean, just really getting a feel for the industry was something I really wanted to do because I mean, you learn so much theory in school. I'm sure y'all know just from high school and you're going to figure out in university that a lot of it's just theory. And so really getting to see that knowledge being put into practice in the field is just super cool. And also, I think less about the actual co-op itself and more about the process of getting the co-op. I find also there's a lot of positive things with that. So for me, just sort of applying, it really made me want to beef up my resume, because having that pressure of applying to jobs and sending your resume out, you really want it to look good. So it really made me just sort of like sit down and grind out a bunch of side projects. Well, I'm in software. So and you need side projects for software, just kind of things that you program on your own, put it on your GitHub. So I gained even just a lot of experience through that. And also, I think that one of the things that it really helps you to gain is your resilience to rejection. Because for me, in second year, looking for that first co-op was, even getting that first interview was super, super hard. I think it took me over 80 apps to get one interview. So it definitely took a while. I definitely took more of a scatter approach rather than like a sniper approach, as they may call it. Like where a sniper approach is more of you sort of tailor your resume, your cover letter, and everything to one position, and you learn a lot about it. Or you can sort of take the scatter approach where you sort of just have one like well-rounded resume and just apply to as many things as you can, which is the one I went with. And although there is success with that, you just have to get really comfortable with just getting those rejection emails. Even now, after I applied during the summer. I did not get a co-op during the summer, possibly during COVID, and also just the competition is really high. So applying during the fall as well, getting a fall co-op is a bit easier, and I definitely recommend it if you don't get that summer co-op, because less people tend to apply in the fall. But even then, just getting rejected and just sort of pushing through it and keep going is one of the things that you'll definitely you'll learn throughout the whole co-op process.
Awesome, thank you. And next, I'll pull up Arushi.
So I definitely went into co-op for the experience. I just wanted to get a job, and after my first co-op, that's all I was thinking. I want to get a job. Even now, I'm like, I want to graduate and get a job. So that was really a big part of it. But the benefits of doing co-op and the skills were just basically what everyone's already said, is applying all that knowledge you've gained. It was really useful to have those breaks in between, just to see like, I've learned all this, how does it work in the real world, and then come back with more knowledge. And then as you're going through your courses after that, you keep using the knowledge you have from work and now also your academics. And that was just really useful for me. I really enjoyed that aspect of co-op. I loved working with everyone. And you develop your academic skills, your software skills, as well as just project management skills and other soft skills as well. Like, you won't really have exposure to working on a real life project in school. You'll have a semester maybe to work on a project, but that's not the same as working on a real project. So it was definitely an experience to be leading and working on your own projects. I did a lot of independent work in both my co-ops. So I was like in charge of my own projects and did a lot of that work. So it was a really good experience, and I really liked that aspect of my job.
Awesome. And next, we'll have Kim, before we move on to the next question, share about, what benefits she found and any skills she learned.
Yeah, just like everyone stated, like so far, I think like one of the reasons why I wanted to go into co-op was for the industry experience, and of course, like some of the benefits that you get like once in that environment is that you get to actually work with people and work in a team more and face different they'd be exposed to different things, gain some skills, some transferable skills, as well as some industry-based skills and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's one of the major reasons why I wanted to join.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So now we're going to go into our next question, and that is um, any tips for applying to co-ops? I know that Albor's talked a bit, but I'm sure that everyone here has a bit of information to share. And so personally, I'll go last on this one so I can cover what maybe other people didn't. So maybe we'll have Albor start talking out because he was talking a bit earlier, and maybe you can expand a bit about your experience.
Sure. So I'll tell you the one thing for me that really threw me off during just like the first co-ops, just like looking through the co-op board, is you'll find there will be like 200, 300 jobs at a time on that co-op board, and you'll be clicking on them and you'll be seeing the description for these jobs. And I mean, if you're in software like myself or even computer ECS in general, you'll be finding that these job descriptions, they'll be saying, oh, we want a good team leader, we want someone that's able to communicate, which is I'm sure things you guys all can work on. But those technical skills, like they'll ask for some random languages you'll probably never have heard of, bunch of frameworks. I think one of the jobs I saw, it required like 20 different frameworks, and it was literally just a second year co-op position. I don't know how they expect that out of anyone. I mean, that's what I thought. But if you see that, do not get discouraged. 100% still apply. If you have at least one or two of those languages or frameworks, you can 100% still get the interview. I just applied to one of those kind of types of jobs where you see a bunch of frameworks, and I somehow got the interview. It blew my mind, but they say they sort of expand the job into where as many people can apply to it as at once. That's why there's so many languages that they have there. So just don't let it throw you off. Apply to as many things as you can. Like I said, there's the scatter approach and the sniper approach. I do recommend, I think, the scatter approach, because when you're in second year, your resume isn't going to be that amazing. So you won't have much to tailor it to. So just applying to as many things as you can, being comfortable with rejection, and just applying, essentially. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Next, I'll bring up Kim to share, her vast experience in applying for jobs and, maybe also things about the interview stage more than just applications too.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Like just applying to jobs in general. Like I guess like out yeah, just like stated, like apply to as much jobs that you can see, and be comfortable with rejection, and even with the process of going through interviews, be comfortable to practice before, ask questions during the interview process. It's okay to, if you make a mistake or you stutter or something like that, it's okay. Just understand that you can also be able to recover, and don't try to just move forward from that situation and don't think too much about it. I noticed that when people do focus on that, it continues to stay there. So just for interview process, just I would say feel comfortable and ask questions, and it's okay if you get rejections. And yeah, that's all I can say. I think so.
Awesome. Arushi?
So I can talk a little bit about interviews, but um, overall, when you apply, it like you're gonna get a lot of rejections, like everyone's saying. Like I recently applied during COVID and for the summer jobs, and it was brutal, like rejection after rejection. But those few interviews you get, you really want to practice for them because those are real life experiences, and it's really hard to get it right on the first try. So you definitely want to practice what you're going to say. You want to learn about the company. The co-op department typically even gives you a list of questions that you can prep for if you let them know you have an interview ahead of time. It's very important to practice that stuff because your interview is kind of them trying to get to know you and see if you're a good fit for the company. And you definitely want to put your best foot forward, but also recognize that you're going there for an internship. So you can tell them, like, hey, I don't know this, but I'm willing to learn it. If this is a big part of the project, I have these skills that can help you help, like that I can use to help me learn this, and I'm open to learning. And typically when you start an internship, they also do a little bit of training work. So you'll have a bunch of time to get used to what they're doing, how they do it, and all that stuff. So don't worry if you don't know the stuff. Like Alvarez said, just apply and apply to what you can. And definitely, I also used the scatter approach, but there were a couple jobs where I was like, I really like this. And I did go for the sniper approach in those cases. So you can always mix and match. You can always upload a new resume. It's not like I made one resume, that's it, I'm done. Okay, so definitely try your hardest. I don't want to scare you off of getting co-ops, but it's not as difficult as it sounds, but it's also not that easy. But definitely it's worth the experience, because at the end of the day, after we graduate, we're all going to try to apply for jobs. So you definitely want that experience in there.
Awesome. Next, I'm going to pull up Hruti to share about his tips for applying for internships and, not just applying, but also getting through the interview process once you finally do get that one interview.
All right. So, firstly, yes, like everyone has said, and I'll repeat it again, apply to as much as possible. Honestly, I found that I decided to apply to at least 10 jobs every day on like Indeed or all these random platforms. So you don't just have to use the co-op portal that is given. You can use other external ones as well. Okay, so that was one thing. The other thing was, yeah, making multiple resumes. I think one of them brought that point as well, based on roles. That's what I did, and that's what I found useful. So that's another thing I recommend doing. And interview, to be perfectly honest, I find that interviews, at least the behavior, so the technical part, you have to sort of study, be prepared for these analytical questions that they'll ask you. But for the other one that's more like behavioral, I find that just be confident, just be yourself, and you should be able to get through it. I think Alan told me this, or someone else told me this, but really, you're just talking to another human being. You can definitely get through the behavioral part for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Hrutik. And yeah, so I'll come up and I'll answer this question as well. So I think there are tons of things people can, learn. And I'd say the first thing is that definitely applying to jobs is a learning process. And the first thing I have to say that you're going to have to learn is you're going to need to work on your resume a lot. And recruiters will be looking at your resume for only a handful of seconds, and you need to make sure that you're able to essentially get their attention and show that you are worth it to be looked at a little bit closer. And so what I would say is really put a lot of effort into the resume. It really is what's going to get you into real consideration. And additionally, with that, I think there's a lot of specific things that I'm sure you'll hear over the next couple of years, but keep your resume to one page only. Make sure you list relevant skills for the job. If you really want certain jobs, make sure you tailor that resume. You list the specific skills or highlight them or move them to a more visible place. But beyond that, definitely for your first internships, literally apply, and you can never stop applying. If you're applying to less than 100 jobs, you might never get an interview. So I hope it's not an exaggeration when I say that, you might have to be applying to 200, 300 jobs so you can really get a good job that you want, so you can, have a few interviews. And beyond that, I'll say a couple things about, the interview process. And the first thing is once you get, past the resume, you might have an online assessment if you're in software to do some computer problems, or you might go straight to an interview. When you get to the interview stage, the first thing is you should be just grateful for the opportunity to interview. It's really good experience, especially in the more interviews you get, the better you will get at it. And additionally, you'll also find that in your interview, it's very important when you prepare to read up on the company and the position to know what they essentially need to hear, so you're not speaking about things that are totally irrelevant. And as well, to be personable and to do your best to represent yourself in an accurate manner. And hopefully those interviews will lead to an offer. But if they don't, you have great interview experience and you have to keep applying. One thing I've noticed with a lot of my friends and even myself is you'll get a few interviews, and for some reason you'll want to stop applying to jobs. You'll be like, okay, I have these interviews, and you'll either maybe the ones you really want an offer from, you won't get an offer, or maybe you'll miss out on opportunities just because you weren't applying. So no matter what time it is, for months straight, you should be applying, on LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Indeed, the co-op portal, go just searching different websites. I go on Hacker News, who's hiring. Just you need to literally look everywhere. And one thing I will say as well is cold calling companies that you really want to work with by sending an email, even to someone like a CTO saying, hi, I'm a student. I'd really love to, talk about interning at this company. Maybe they have intern positions. Maybe they don't have them. That can be really effective. And I've gotten interviews that way just by reaching out to companies directly, even when they didn't have internship postings. Cool. And so that's some of my tips from applying to jobs and, getting offers. So before we move on to some next questions, we have some things in the chat. And so I'll just run through them really quickly. So Tram is asking, can I explain 2 work periods separated by at least 1 academic term? So that essentially means that if you have to complete a minimum 12 months of co-op, you can't just do 12 months and be done co-op. The co-op department wants you to work, come back to school, work again, and then come back to school. So if you do your first internship in the summer after your second year, then let's say you go back to school for your third year, and then you work again in the summer. That counts as 2 work terms separated by at least 1 academic term. If you go work in the fall from September to December, then are back in school January to April, and then back in work from May to August, that's also 2 work terms separated by 1 school term. So it's really just about making sure you have the chance to come back to school before working again. And then I'll come back to your next question in a second, Tram, but we also have a question from Curtis. Is there assistance available to create a truly spectacular resume or a class on how to create a resume? I will say that we do talk, I think, about resumes in Eng 2003, but it is a bit late, in my opinion, to start building those resumes. What I can suggest is there are a few school clubs in Lassonde that will probably host, different resume review sessions, and you should definitely attend them. As well, make sure to reach out to people directly that you meet, be it on Discord servers, like the, CS Hub server, York U server, or CS Majors Discord. And as well, you can ask all those people, but there's also a few other servers like the CS Careers.dev server, where you can get feedback from people not in Lassonde. And then as well, taking the idea of a resume, it's something you should iterate and change over time. So you don't make one resume and it's the good resume. You should be updating your resume all the time, every chance you get, and whenever something comes to your mind, whenever you see things that you like that are cool. And so that's my advice. Does anyone else have advice on, creating a great resume, resources?
Sure.
I think even.
Okay,
Sorry,
go ahead. Okay,
Okay,
I'll go. Oh my gosh, I'll go. So basically, if I could break it down really quickly, I mean, for me, if you're an ECS, I'm not sure if you're in civil or mechanical. I don't know if it applies, but for the most part, if you're an ECS, side projects, I'd say that's number 1 for sure. As long as you have 3 or 4, I'd say, on your resume, you're in good shape. Number 2 would definitely be extracurricular activities, things like being a frosh leader, involving yourself in the Lassonde Engineering Society, helping out with Lassonde Open House. Pretty much anything you can get your hands on in Lassonde is going to be amazing for that resume. Hackathons as well. We have many hackathons here at Lassonde, like LHacks, Lassonde Games, tons of things you can get involved in, and those all really help with the resume. So side projects, extracurriculars, and I know if you're looking for that first co-op, you probably won't have work experience that is really relevant. But if you have anything like that you did in high school, it's probably just worth putting it on there for sure, and sort of just detailing the things that you gained out of it in terms of, it's likely just going to be soft skills, but that's perfect. So yeah, side projects, a little bit of work experience if you have it. If you don't, that's totally fine. And extracurriculars, those are the big 3.
Yeah, so another thing I would say is having a website would also be nice, just to show your projects and stuff like that. I think Alan posted a link to his website. But yeah, for sure. Another thing I wanted to say was I think even co-op department has like resume review sessions, and they also have the interviewing sessions, so for sure. So those would be useful as well if you really want to build a good one.
That's a great
They
point. The
Also,
co-op.
it's just, sorry, one last thing. It's also resumes are just iterative, you know, you just always are expanding on making better ones. So just keep making resumes and I'm sure you'll get good at it.
Yeah, that's a great point. To get into co-op, they'll actually require you attend, a resume session and an interview session, so you can learn about these things. So that's also a great point that I didn't mention. And as well, you can schedule time with the co-op advisors, and you can bring them your resume, and they'll review it one on one. And just like Hrutik mentioned, having a website and having a portfolio like on GitHub or on your own personal website is definitely a great way to showcase your work. It's great for recruiters to quickly see if you actually walk the talk that you're saying you have in regards to your skills. So I would definitely agree that having a portfolio is great. Awesome. So we're going to move on to our next question here. And our next question is, what do you want to do in the future? Maybe for future internships and as well after graduation. I'll bring up Arushi to speak.
Okay, hi. Sorry, I was muted. Um, that's kind of loaded question, Alan.
It
But
is.
but definitely I kind of have an idea of what kind of engineer I want to be. I want to go into systems engineering for sure. But I'm also considering doing my master's. So there's definitely that aspect too. Um, yeah, I'm not like 200% sure, but that's definitely what I want to do with my future. Head down that field at some point. I'm hoping to have more jobs, so I can get experience and know what I need to know. My current co-op is a really good first step in that direction. Just like applying all the metering uses, that's pretty useful, and then eventually going a step deeper and then learning about each meter and then creating meters. That's all in systems engineering. So it's all very exciting, but also a master's degree can just help you sometimes. More of a background on that kind of stuff. So you want to be more in depth, and that would be really helpful for me also. So I'm debating between the two streams right now, but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And next we'll go with Kim, who has some great, future prospects and is super awesome to talk about what she's interested in. You might be muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I think my main focus would either be being a power systems engineer or a control systems engineer, and hopefully working for like on the field. But I think moving forward, like I definitely want to get more experience and more exposure to the industrial world and stuff like that, and I believe that that's the way that you actually learn if the environment that you are in is best fit for you, and yeah, I'm definitely more interested in sustainability related ventures as well, so definitely going along that direction outside of energy efficiency. That's my focus.
Awesome. Very cool. Next, I'll pull up Albor's share about what he's interested in doing in the future.
Sure. So again, I don't really have a clear set path, but I recently switched into the big data stream in software engineering that we have here at Lassonde. Big data, So I think after I graduate, I kind of want to go into that field of data science, machine learning, just big data in general. That stuff really intrigues me, mostly because of that co-op I had during the summer of 2020. That kind of started that passion for me. But other than that, I mean, this fall I'm going to be doing my co-op with Rogers, and it's more of a like a business oriented kind of co-op where you just do business stuff for Rogers. So I'm going to see how that is. Maybe I'll like that more. I probably not, but I might. So I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what I like, and then. But yeah, it's just more about feeling it out, getting as much co-op experience as you can, um, trying out different things. And for me, yeah, I don't really know yet, but I think big data or we'll see business maybe.
Awesome, super cool. We'll have Hruti come up and talk about his future that he knows 100% about.
100% for sure. But yeah, I think I like big data. Definitely, it's an amazing field to be in. So that's definitely somewhere I'm definitely looking to apply to next co-op too. But I also kind of want to go into research side of computer science. Like other people have said, but when you come to university, you're studying a lot of theory behind computer science and stuff like that. And I have personally enjoyed learning about theory and stuff. So I might want to even work at university for a research project or something. So yeah, but really, to be perfectly honest, this co-op helps you gain that experience to better understand what you want to do for at least the next 5 to 10 years of the life, all these experience. So definitely experience as much co-op as possible. I think you should always maximize on co-op.
For sure, thank you. And I'll share a bit about myself because I can talk for a while. So I'm definitely graduating this year, and so I have no more internships left. Luckily, I was very grateful to get a job at Coinbase. After I finished my internship with them this summer, and they've offered me to return full time. So that's definitely something I'll be doing at the end of classes for me after this April, maybe starting sometime between May and August, depending how much vacationing I want to do before working again. But beyond that, I want to take all the skills I've learned in my education and my internship work experience and hopefully found my own startup company that's kind of already being worked on through my final engineering capstone project. And for me, that's a big goal, is to be my own boss and to really create something of my own. Although it can be fun and stable and, very comfortable to have, income coming in from a job, I hope I can live an exciting life and, use the tools that I've been able to learn to have something of my own. And that's what I want to do in the future beyond just, keeping to work at, companies and, provide value that way. But I am very grateful to work at a company which I feel is really providing a lot to people all over the world, such as economic freedom. And so hopefully that is going to be a big part of my future as well. And so, um, moving on to our final question before we have open the floor to any remaining Q&A. What is one thing that you wish you could tell your first year self? And, as well, what would you share about maybe applying for jobs that you wish you knew before starting? More than just tips, what do we wish we knew? So whoever wants to take it, I'll pull you up first.
Is it
Actually,
okay
we'll
if
leave
I
it
go
like
first?
this.
I can go first. But yeah, so what I would have told myself would definitely be apply a lot. Like I wish I had applied to a lot more jobs before getting my first year. And I would have also told myself to work on a lot more side projects I find and have them reflect on my resume or on my GitHub and stuff. So yeah, those are two things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm just even writing this in the chat for everyone. I would say start doing hackathons ASAP, use them to network. Even if you're in civil or mechanical, there are tons of competitions you can still attend. There's the York Engineering Competition, there's the Concrete Toboggan Team, Concrete Canoe Team, bridge building competitions. There's so much out there for every major. There's a geomatics competition, there's space competitions. So really, whatever you're pursuing in your field, make sure to get involved with those competitive jobs because they'll not only teach you actually helpful experience, but they'll give you a chance to network with other students and employers. Who else wants to share maybe what they wish they knew? Go for it.
I can go. So I guess instead of repeating the whole side project thing, which I think is very, very important, but if I could find something else, I think for me, I had something in my mind and I forgot it. I think for me, it would be, again, do hackathons. You guys have lots of time to do side projects. I mean, you're in first year. Get started ASAP, because for me, I would always say, okay, I'm going to start this weekend. I'm going to start this next weekend. It never happened. It really never happened until I was in the midst of applying to co-ops, and I was really like panicking. I'm like, I don't really have anything on my resume. So at that point, that's when I kind of just got down and actually started grinding them out. But if you guys just sort of like have an idea, just small ideas, just jot them down, and whenever you have free time, put like an hour a week, even that's completely fine. Just start getting something done, putting things on the GitHub. That'll just sort of boost your confidence in your resume. So if you get that interview, y'all have lots of things to talk about to the employers.
Yeah. What I would add to add to that would be, in general, definitely ask questions. I think in my first year, I didn't do a lot of asking of questions, and also going through going through a lot of the sessions, going through the interview process, practicing a lot, going through resume critiques. I think there are lots of resources out there. Just go ahead and ask questions, and you find out that a lot of things that you thought that you actually knew were either not 100% accurate, or there might be mistakes, for example, on your resume, or you learn something new. So definitely reach out to a lot of the resources that are available, and that would be my advice.
Also, I kind of remembered what I was going to say. So, I mean, I think the one big mistake I made in just going for that first co-op was my resume was 2 pages. I didn't listen. I was like, I didn't really have anything on my resume, so I thought I just absolutely inflate it with all this volunteering things that I would have done, and I just spaced out the font a lot to make it seem like I did a lot. That is not a good idea, because these employers are literally just going to glance and be like, "Oh, we don't like you." If they don't like you, they're not going to go through those 2 pages. They're going to see and be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So I would keep it to the 1 page, even if you don't have a lot of experience. Just shove everything into 1 page, and yeah, I'd say that's the one thing that I'd tell y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. And some advice from me is definitely talk a lot to other students. Everyone else is going to be applying. You can always share your resume with other people. You can see what jobs people are applying to. And really be a part of this process with the greater community as a whole. And I think you'll all realize you'll find more success. And I'll just reiterate this one more time is 100%, just apply and don't stop applying. Never stop applying. If you're in first year, just apply to every job you can, keep applying. And this might be hard, but I would say keep track of the jobs you're applying to, be it using some websites that people have made to track these jobs or an Excel spreadsheet. It'll be really useful to know which companies you have applied to, if they've sent you a rejection, if they haven't, where you are with them. And the reason this is important is because for future terms, maybe next year you want to apply again, you have a list of all these companies that might be hiring. You'll also have, data you can look at what companies were going where with your process, how long would take to respond on average, and that sort of thing. So it is sometimes hard to keep up, but definitely keep track of your applications, especially the ones you really do care about, and make sure you have a list of the jobs you want and where you apply to them so you can share it with others and also use it again for yourself in the future. And also, I put a list of MLH hackathons in the chat. And so make sure you go to mlh.io and you can see the upcoming hackathons that are going to be MLH sponsored throughout the year. There's a wide variety of them with a lot happening just in Ontario alone, but even some happening outside. Others might be virtual first around the world, so definitely check out. It's not only fun just to win the prizes, but to learn experience, to network with people, and to participate in tons of awesome stuff. And if you have the chance to go in person, tons of free food and swag as well. Is there anything else anyone wants to share? Are there any other questions anyone wants to ask in the chat before we close things out for today? We'll give it another, I'd say 30 seconds in the chat, see if anything comes through. I know there's a short delay on us speaking and it going on to YouTube Live. Awesome. How much experience should a first year have? I think that's a great question. So do any of you folks want to take this?
Sure, I could say 0, essentially. You don't really need much to get that first co-op. The main thing is just sort of your attitude. You need to show these companies that you're willing to learn, because without having experience, the main thing they look for in someone that's applying is just their will to learn and their passion for their field. For example, like in software engineering, you need to show that you're involved in your GitHub, you're involved in hackathons, that you're really interested in the field itself rather than experience, because you're really not going to have much experience in first year.
Awesome. I'll definitely say, yeah, companies do expect you to have very little experience. And in my own experience, companies hire you based on your ability to learn and your ability to work in a team more than your technical skills. Because I think for a lot of companies, they've now realized that they'll have more value on someone who can learn and work with a team rather than someone who might be able to code but can't really work towards an end goal. So what I'll say is you don't need a lot of experience, but it is helpful to kind of learn and to show that you can learn by working on personal projects. And I think that is really the value in them. And so if you are interested, definitely consider attending hackathons where you'll have a project done in the end of a weekend. And putting them together in a GitHub to develop that experience, showcase what you've done in some coursework, and that will really develop. And so you really don't need any experience, but you do need to be able to showcase that you have an ability to learn these skills. And I think that's the important part. All right. So we'll move on to another question we have, which is, does YorkU have a partnership with Shopify? And that we actually do. So if you folks have heard about our dev degree program for computer science students, where they study at York part-time and work at Shopify part-time for their whole degree, it's definitely something we do have. But as well, we do hire students to work at Shopify just generally during the normal work terms through the Lassonde Co-op portal. And as well, you can apply directly to Shopify without considering York as a partner at all. But Shopify is definitely a great employer for internships, and I know tons of people who've done it. We also have Aditya. I'm a first year, and when should I expect to start applying?
I think you start applying after, so you can start after first year as well, but it's recommended by co-op if you want to get a co-op, and the chances that you get a co-op are after your second year. Like, you won't be able to enroll in the York co-op until you have some second year courses that you have finished. This is at least for computer science.
Yeah, I would say definitely around November is when companies will start posting. A great tool you can use to find out is CS Careers .dev. I hope I spelled careers right, but cscareers.dev will show you folks when new job postings come up. And so definitely it'll start probably October, November is when the first postings for summer come out. And definitely I would say by March is when the last postings are really coming to a close. So you should really, I would say, start applying by November, December if you can. Definitely January, February are really a really good period to make sure you're applying in. And by the end of March are when I'd say the last postings for summer are available. So that's my answer on when you can start applying. And it's not just for first year, but it's for any year to start applying in those periods. I would say specifically for summer. But if you're applying for year-round internships, internships and applications are year round for you. So it really depends on when you want to make your certain times. Maybe you want to set up, certain months during the year as your application periods. We also have a question. Is a LinkedIn important for obtaining a co-op? I would say a LinkedIn is super important. It's a great way for recruiters just to search your name, see a bit about you. It's a way for you to connect with people you meet at school, at hackathons, at work experience. So definitely set up a LinkedIn as soon as you can. Make sure you put a picture. I know some of us might be some shy folks out there, but having a picture will definitely make you a lot more personable to recruiters, and it'll definitely help a lot. It can be a bit off-putting when people are messaging you on LinkedIn and they don't have a picture and you don't really know how they even look like, and so I tell that to some of my friends who still don't have pictures, that it's really going to hamper you if you don't have a picture. It doesn't even have to be a great picture, because a bad picture is better than no picture.
Yeah, and also, I remember during second year we had a recruiter come in to Lassonde and talk about how recruiters actually use LinkedIn, and sort of how they like when they search a field, like who comes up first. And the one thing I remember him saying was the skills part of your LinkedIn. Like, so when you say, "Oh, I know how to program in Python, I know how to program in Java," or like I'm a team player, for example, those are really important. And just to have people just to, because I know you can one up a skill, like you can just get your friends to just like say that, yeah, you can program in Python. The more skills you have on that LinkedIn and the more upvotes you have on them, the higher of a chance you have to be found in that sort of algorithm when they look for you on LinkedIn. So that's a little key tidbit, I could say.
Awesome. Cool. We'll give it another 30 seconds for more questions to roll in. One thing I'll definitely quickly say is our Lassonde Co-op has a Silicon Valley tour every year. This year it's happening virtually, but you actually do travel to Silicon Valley to meet all sorts of companies. And one of my friends who I worked with at Coinbase from York actually got his job from the Silicon Valley Tech Tour when he went to Coinbase and interviewed there. So it's definitely a great opportunity to look out for, especially after your third year if you want to, but even after your second year. So if you're interested in working in high tech, you'll go to tons of companies, have the chance to meet them between Coinbase and Roblox and Facebook. So definitely keep an eye out, and Tesla. So keep an eye out for that event as well. Cool. So I'm not seeing any more questions come in. So I think we're going to end the stream right here. Thank you all for coming. If you want to rewatch this, it'll still be available on this YouTube link after we're done. Thank you so much to all our wonderful presenters who I know are very busy for taking the time to join us. And we'll see you all at our Coping with COVID event starting at 10:30. You can find the link at our Discord in event announcements. So thank you so much again, folks, and we'll talk to you soon.
It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.